Good morning and welcome to Tony Ramaka Ministries, and thank you for joining me on this blessed Sunday. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then the righteous answers him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer, and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. What Jesus is telling us in the first two, lines 35 and 36, is that it doesn't represent only him. Yes, when he was here and walked the earth, people gave him drinks, especially the lady at the well who didn't know who he was. When he traveled with his apostles and other disciples, people took them in, gave them food, drink. They were strangers. They were taken in. So Jesus visited people. He wasn't sick. He wasn't in prison, so they didn't, visit him. But they did visit him when they came to see him. He's talking about each other. He is God's son, and we are God's children. He is also God's child because he's the son. Therefore, we are all brothers and sisters. So what Jesus is saying is when we do for each other, we're doing it for him. He's given us the strength and the blessings to pass that on to others who are less fortunate, as the Father gives him blessings and strength to pass it on to us and help us because we are less fortunate. Jesus is not less fortunate in anything. He doesn't need anything. He has everything. He has the power of the glory. He sits at the right hand of the Father, stands at the right hand of power. He has all the resources, the means to get the Father's will done. He's showing us when he lived here on earth how we should do as he done for us, as we should do for each other. And when we do, we're doing it for him because we're following his example, his lead. We're living the way he lived and still lives in us and through us today. Now, what I believe in praying, in my opinion, line 37, 38, and 39, discuss us talking to Jesus on our appointed time, in our trial on Judgment Day. When we're asking Jesus, when he speaks to us, and we're being judged, and he says, well, in life I saw you did this for this person. I saw you did that for that person. You've done it for me. And then we're talking and we're saying, well, Jesus, when did we do anything for you? We didn't do it personally. We didn't give you any clothes. You don't need any. We didn't feed you. We didn't see you personally and take you in. He's talking about each other who is less fortunate. When we help somebody who is in financial need, somebody who's homeless. Now, he doesn't say, especially in this day and age, to go off the street and take somebody who's homeless, and some people do. Just be very cautious if you do. But in helping them find shelter, that's helping them. That's doing for Jesus because you're doing for that person. Or a homeless family who just lost their home, or the husband and the wife lost their job, they're living out of their car. Maybe you're giving them gas money. Maybe you're buying them and their kids a meal. Maybe you're buying them clothes. Maybe a niece or a nephew, a mother or father, need a new outfit. You go out and buy that for them. That's what he's talking about. You're having friends over for dinner, or family, or maybe you tell your friend, well, hey, we're having a barbecue or a party. Bring somebody with you. Tell them not to bring anything. Everything's provided. You're feeding them. You're giving them a good time, helping them out. Maybe somebody needs advice and you're helping them out. Maybe somebody needs a place to stay, so you're letting them, somebody or whatever, you're letting them stay at your house for a day or two till you get them back on their feet. Or you're taking them to a homeless shelter, or maybe taking them to a mission or a food pantry. That's what Jesus is talking about. Going to visit a sick shut-in who's homebound, an elderly person. Maybe you're helping them mow the lawn or fix the house or paint the house. That's what he's talking about, helping each other out. Who's less fortunate and who needs assistance, fixing their car, giving them a ride, helping them fill out a job application, or even the military. God bless them, they come in and they're trying to adjust to the civilian life. Maybe they need a helping hand. Maybe their spouse left them, or they're homeless, or they need a job and they don't have one when they come back, and you're helping them out by giving them one, or taking them down to an agency, or maybe you can refer them to somebody. That's helping each other out. Now, what Jesus is saying in line 40 goes a lot deeper than this. You really need to, when you study the Lord's Word, you really need to understand the message and read it over and over again, because when you do, you pick up on more things you missed the time before. He's saying it goes beyond this. He's saying if you badmouth somebody, you slander them, you're doing that to him, in essence, because you're doing it to his brother or your sister. You're gossiping about somebody. Now, naturally, you all gossip. I got people gossiping about me in the town where I live. There's also another priest in town. People are gossiping about him. People gossip about each other. They slander each other. They introduce this person. Oh, this person, hey, who is this person? Oh yeah, this person is so-and-so and they're an adulterer. This person's so-and-so and they're gay. This person's so-and-so and they're a wife beater, or a woman beater, or a husband beater, or they abuse their children. This is so-and-so, they never can hold on to a job. This is so-and-so, they're a drug addict. This is so-and-so, they're an alcoholic. That's hurting somebody. You do that to Jesus. Jesus doesn't want you to do that. Remember, whether you do good or you do bad, you're doing it to Jesus also. And there are consequences when you do good things and bad things. Those are the things you have to deal with. Not Jesus. Because he's judging you whether it's good or bad. And Jesus is telling us, it goes beyond giving somebody clothes or visit them in prison or the hospital. As we discussed, the car and the lawn and everything else. It's also giving them a shoulder to lean on. Maybe they had a rough day. They got divorced. They need a shoulder to lean on, to talk to. It's giving them a lending ear. You're having a problem. You're really stressed out. You need somebody to talk to. Yes, you talk to Jesus. You talk to God. God doesn't want that to end. Neither does Jesus. They want you to go to them. If you're too scared to go to God, you go to Jesus. If you're too scared to go to Jesus, you go to God. That's why he died, so he could be the bridge, and is the bridge to the Father, the gap between us and the Father. And because of him and through him, we're allowed to speak to the Father. He wants to give somebody a helping hand. Do the right thing. That's what he wants you to do. Helping hand, it can mean anything. He doesn't say you have to take a homeless person off the street and bring them into your house, especially in today's day and age. But if you bring them to a shelter or a mission, or maybe give them a hotel room or a motel room for the night or the week to help them out, or maybe guide them to somebody that can help them, that is helping them. Giving them clothes, birthday gift, Christmas gift, or maybe they just need a gift. A shirt or something, or maybe it's a kid, he's having a graduation, going to high school graduation. That's a big thing for a kid, and maybe his family's on a tight budget, can't afford to rent him a tux or a suit. Go out and do it. Maybe he needs a ride. Go out and do it. That's what Jesus is talking about. Help each other with advice. That's helping somebody. Look out for each other as Jesus looked out for, and does still look out for each one of us because we're less fortunate than him. Jesus is not less fortunate. We're less fortunate because we fall short of his glory and his Father's glory every day. Jesus has everything he needs. All the resources, the power, the means to get the Father's will done. He doesn't need us. He doesn't need anything. The Father gives him whatever he needs. He has his kingdom that he rules with the Father. He has his throne, has his angels. He has his Father's love. But when we do for each other as he expects us to do, as he showed us as his example, and follow in his footsteps, then we're doing for him. Don't speak ill of people. Don't introduce them like we just discussed before. Say, hey, this is so-and-so, he's a minister. Hey, this is so-and-so, he's a priest. Hey, this is so-and-so, this is an accountant, or a friend of mine, or my nephew, or my brother-in-law, or my sister-in-law. This is so-and-so, they're a dog walker or a sitter. This is so-and-so, they're a salesperson. And this is so-and-so, they work in real estate, or a mechanic, or a house painter, or a maintenance man, or a truck driver. This is so-and-so, it's my brother, or my brother-in-law, or my sister, sister-in-law, my cousin. This is so-and-so, they're a good person. This is so-and-so, they really inspire people. Introduce people like that. Don't defame them or slander them. Because you're having it rough, or because they're trying to make something of their life, or trying to help people, you take them down. Bring yourself up. Ask them to help you, encourage you, to bring you up. Don't tear them down because you, for whatever reason, maybe you don't want to, you're comfortable in your own zone. That doesn't mean somebody should have the same or less than you because you don't want them to have more. That's not right. Because remember, you're doing that to Jesus. Good or bad, it's done to him. And the consequence, good or bad, you will answer for because that's what you have to deal with. And I believe in reading this, it'll be on Judgment Day. At your appointed time, when you are judged, when you pass on, and you face Jesus at your trial, which is your judgment day, you're going to answer that. He's going to say, hey, well, this was good that you did. You helped this person out, and you did this. That's good. It's the right thing to do. But hey, you badmouth this guy. You're going around telling people he's an adulterer, he's a thief, he's a murderer, he's gay, or she's gay, or watch out for her, she talks about people. Well, what do you think you're doing? You know, can't call somebody a liar if you're a liar, or even a bigger one. Can't call somebody a thief if you're a thief. If you're a gay, why are you covering your own sexuality and talking about somebody else? If you're an adulterer, why are you talking about somebody else being an adulterer? Especially if you're one, or a bigger one. Follow what I'm saying? What you do to each other, because we're all brothers and sisters. Jesus, technically, yes, he's our Lord and Savior, but he's also our brother, because he's God's son, and we're God's sons and daughters. We're all heirs with Jesus to the kingdom. Jesus is saying, do the right thing, as I have done the right thing for you, as I still do the right thing for you, as I still love you and am patient with you, be patient with others, as I still help you out, help others out. That's what this verse in Matthew of Jesus is talking about. Do the right thing. You'll be rewarded. Don't talk about other ministers because they have fancy houses or fancy clothes, or even non-ministers as somebody, because that's just jealousy. That's envious. And instead of having that blind you, because Satan is having that blind you, and Satan is putting that in your head, look what God gave them. What do you have? And we all go through that. Look what God, but you got to overcome that and get over it and move on with life. And fulfill your life and your job what Jesus has for you to do. Because, and look at it this way. God is the one who's in control. Jesus is in charge. He's the boss. If he didn't want that minister or that lay person to have that fancy house or fancy car or big bank account, do you honestly think if he didn't want them to have it that they would have it? If he didn't want that lay person to drive around in that BMW or have a nice family or have a beautiful spouse or a loving spouse, do you honestly think that he would let them have that? You got to think a little bit. Don't be a hypocrite. Because telling Jesus, well, I went to church and I did this, I did that. Remember what Jesus said. And everybody who cries, Lord, Lord, this is what I've done for you, is going to enter heaven. One good deed does not outweigh all the bad deeds. You got to try to do good all the time. Follow what I'm saying? The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. I'm Reverend Tony. Thank you for joining me today on this blessed Sunday. And join us again next week as we go live. And please, continue to walk in the presence of God. Be glad you did. Have a good and safe blessed Sunday. We'll see you again.